So can we see Tesla pushing higher, right, to like $800 or maybe even $1,000, right, over the next few months or as we go into 2021? All right, so this is what will be covered in today's video. Just about a week back when I covered Tesla, it was then trading about $580, all right, but it seems like over the past few days, you've managed to push higher and kind of hit like a record high, all right? So, let's take a look at, where we are for Tesla and where could we potentially hit to, right, before some profit taking might come back. Okay, so this is Tesla. So, just over the past few days, we've seen a bit of news coming back for Tesla. Basically, they have kind of like raised another $5 billion, right, to kind of raise more funds from the capital markets, to kind of shore up their treasure chest so that they can perform more investments and, continue their growth. And, we're seeing like, good, really strong growth, not just in the US, but in China as well. Look at this right over here. Tesla 3 Sedan was the number 2 best-selling electric vehicle in China, right, the world's largest auto market, right? So not just in the US, but Tesla has been, seeing really strong growth in China as well. In fact, it's one of the, top, one of the leaders in terms of the electric vehicle sector, right, compared to its China-based rivals like NIO, Li Auto. I think Tesla is definitely one of the leaders in this field. Okay, yeah. So we are seeing sales jump as well, all right, for Tesla in China. It kind of like jumped 78% from October to about 21,000 units, all right, and so just last month, Chinese regulators, right, kind of gave Tesla the green light to sell Model Y sports utility vehicles made in Shanghai, in China. Tesla plans to start delivering this Model Y in China next year. So we can expect a bit more growth in China as well as we head into next year. That's the reason why we're seeing a bit of strength coming back. Tesla have kind of broke above that $500 just a few weeks back, and it seems like it's on the track to push higher. Okay, so yeah, I would say that Tesla is one of those companies that I really like in the electric vehicle sector, and apart from companies like NIO, which I covered previously, Tesla probably one of those that I think there could potentially be a bit more upside. And let's take a look at where we can potentially head to right now. So this is Tesla as of the 9th of December 2020. You can see we are currently trading at about $649, right? So just about a week back, we're somewhere around here at about 560, 580, kind of like retraced back down a bit, all right? But it seems like, we have kind of pushed higher and broke that $600, right, which I talked about as well, right? So let's take a look at, where are we and where could we potentially head to, right? So I mentioned in the previous video about this really critical resistance at about $500, right? So $500, we have been kept below since like August, right? Trading below, you can see kind of approach came down, and while doing so, we kind of form what we call higher lows, right? In fact, we actually draw, this upward sloping channel support line right over here, all right, as it kind of like heads towards this resistance, and eventually, of course, when it broke that $500, there were some upside targets that were drawn, right, to about 600 and even higher. All right, so it kind of went to about 600, a bit of profit taking. I mentioned about it consolidating probably from like 550 to 600, and yes, it did consolidate for about a week, and it kind of like broke above, and right now it's like 649. All right, so what about the trend, right? So I think Tesla is one of those companies that is pretty much in a very, very strong uptrend, right? So it has been like consolidating, for like a few months, and then pushing higher and then consolidating as well. Or you can see that when it broke that, $200. Look at this right over here. Let's just put us back to somewhere in June, right? June, when it kind of broke that $200. Of course, prices has adjusted downwards due to a stock split, but based on adjusted prices after the stock split, you can see that when it broke that $200, it went from like 200 to like 360 in a couple of months, and then started to consolidate. So this is what we are seeing right now, right, for Tesla. Just like how it broke that 200, it was a really critical resistance. It seems like this 500 level is a resistance that has just broken above as well. Same thing like the 200, and that's where we can see prices really start to accelerate upwards. Okay, in terms of the trend, look at this, right? The green line, the 20 days moving average, was pretty much moving sideways as we consolidated like from August to November, right? About 2 to 3 months, you can see it was pretty much moving sideways, which is normal. I mean, look at this, the prices have gone up and down, and while it consolidates sideways, it's forming higher lows, right? So that's a good sign in terms of the trend still pretty much intact, all right? But as it consolidates sideways, all right, it's taking time to build up again, right? Its momentum, and eventually it broke that $500, right? So in terms of the mid to long term trend, look at this, right? The red line, which is the 100 days moving average, is still pointing up, right? Blue line still pointing up. So mid to long term, I would say a very gentle and slow and steady uptrend. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are in terms of the support level. So I would say right now, all right, $600 would be the resistance, but now that we have broken above the $600 level, we might potentially head towards that 700. I would expect probably about 700. We might see prices heading to about $700. I would say right now maybe 650, a bit of a resistance, but yeah, I think if we get past 650, potentially back to 700, you might see a bit of profit taking here. It might start to consolidate back down below 700. But yeah, I think it looks really good in terms of the uptrend. You can see it kind of like pushes up, consolidate for about a week or two, push up again. So we might, trade up and consolidate for like 1 to 2 weeks below that 700, and eventually, pushing higher and breaking that to head higher to about 800 or maybe even higher. But I would say right now, the upside targets can be raised, right? So we have kind of raised our targets from like 500 to 600, and now it's pretty much to $700. So those who have already got in, somewhere around that $400 mark, right, when we first covered it, yeah, definitely you want to protect your profits, because you're definitely sitting on profits like more than 20% upside. All right, so yeah, I think if it does break down below that $600, maybe give it a bit of leeway. If it does break below 600, maybe to like 590, 580. Yeah, that's where you can also think about getting out to protect your profits if you have got in around here. All right, of course, if prices to hit to probably near 700, that's where you can also think about locking in some profits and maybe kind of like get in on dips again if it starts to consolidate or retrace back down. Okay, so this is Tesla. I think one of those really good companies, uptrending, strong fundamental counter that is in our watch list for more upside, and one of my favorite companies in the electric vehicle space. I think it's one of the leaders. We are seeing strong sales coming in from China, in the US as well, and there's a lot of growth potential. I mean, for this whole entire sector, and Tesla is definitely poised to benefit from it. I mean, apart from some of the smaller players like NIO, XPeng and all that, but Tesla is definitely one of those companies that we really want to focus on. I think the uptrend really looks good, and we can see more upside and our targets revise higher along the way. So guys, before we look at how Tesla is looking on my one good trend system, I will appreciate an early thumbs up. It will definitely help out the YouTube algorithm. I reach out to more people. Okay, so let's go on to look at the system. Basically, I have a system called 1GT, all right, one good trend, that kind of guides me on when to get in and when to get out. Of course, kind of filter out counters like these, all right, so that we don't have to like scan and look at so many counters all at once, right? So this is Tesla. So I kind of mentioned it in the previous video as well. We had some bullish entry and then exit signals. I would say since like May. Look at this right over here. We got a bullish entry and exit. Somewhere around June, we got an entry, push up, exit, entry, exit, and pretty much moving sideways somewhere in like September to October. Not much of a move, but most recently, right over here on the 9th of November, right, just about the first week of November, we got one good trend, right, 1GT bullish signal. So prices have kind of like gone out. I think I mentioned in the previous video, when somewhere around here there were no exits, and right now even at like $649, there are still no exits, right? So there are still no exits, as I mentioned. We can potentially head towards the $700. I'm not too sure whether the exit will come out, but it seems like it might still consolidate and push higher, all right, until we see some signs of profit taking or some signs of weakness. Then we might start to see an exit. But right now there isn't any exit from the most recent signal on the 9th of November. So yeah, potentially we can hit higher, right? So yeah, I just want to show you what it says on this 1GT system that we use. It kind of guides us on not just to enter, but also when to get out. Okay, so yes guys, if you like this video, make sure you have smashed the subscribe button so that you will not miss out on videos like this and you can act on them even faster. Right, so thank you so much for watching. Joey here. Take care.